When you think about businesses like Allbirds or Skims that are selling through the roof, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But what's often overlooked is the business behind the business that makes it all possible. For millions of businesses, that's Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify, the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. With Shop Pay, you can boost conversions by up to 50%, meaning fewer abandoned carts and way more sales. Whether your customers are scrolling online, strolling through your store, or browsing social media, Shopify ensures you're ready to sell wherever they are. It's no secret, businesses that want to grow with Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Allbirds uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/DAX, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/DAX to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/DAX.
What's bubbling, magical people? Welcome back to the Witching Hour with MsMerlin, where we like to talk about all things witchy and magical. Your one-stop source for everything spellcasting, ascension, healing, tarot, mediumship, psychic gifts, spirituality, deities, chakras, plant medicine, and much, much more. I'm Kimmy, aka MsMerlin, high priestess and shamaness, vulva, medicine woman, psychic medium, and witch extraordinaire. So let's hop on in. Today is March the 8th, and it is Women's Day, International Women's Day. So we're going to dedicate this episode to the ladies. All right, not that the men aren't welcome, you always are, but this episode is dedicated to the ladies. So we're going to talk about some history, some things you might not know about, and a bunch of other little topics today. I'm also going to give you some empowering messages from oracle decks, maybe as well as some channeling. So stick with me. It's going to be a great episode. All right. So way back in ancient times, it was worship of the goddess. It was a woman as the goddess figure. Okay. It wasn't until patriarchy, aka organized religion, swept over everything and took control of everything, that took power away from the feminine and gave it to the masculine, creating the god archetype that we recognize, right? A male in the god position, also in the secondary position, savior, all right, also a man. And this all just stemmed from a place of power and control and corruptness. That's it. Not from a place of holiness. Okay? The Bible and historical texts and all that kind of stuff was all written by men. Okay? The people who held the pens at the time were men. The only people allowed to scribe information during these times were usually men. They were usually Christian monks. Now, a lot of this stemmed from the fact that men were jealous because they did not have the ability to create life. They can't do it. They're pretty much left out of the equation. Okay, but now, in this time, they pretty much leave themselves out of the equation as well, because it's women who are meant to do everything. But anyways, that's because of this frame of the patriarchy. But if you look at religious texts, okay, versions of the Bible, so on and so forth, women have two roles in there: the Madonna or the whore. That's it. Okay? Women were also not allowed to touch the sacred texts at the time. Women did not hold any position of power in the church or otherwise. Up until very, 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 very recently, they started to allow female bishops. And that is kind of a victory, but not really, because you're still participating in the patriarchy. And through this frame, again, I said again, it was about power and control, right? Women being like possessions. So men could run the show and do whatever pretty much they want with us, and we just have to kind of stand there and take it. As like, look at the story of Lilith, right? Lilith, because she was not submissive and wouldn't do what she was told by Adam, was kicked out of the Garden of Eden. And God, apparently, took Adam's side. Like, yeah, that woman should do what she's told. She should be subservient. No, 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 no. It was written that way because the pen holders were men. And they can just do whatever they want. Like that's what makes me so angry about this whole era. Okay. Like if you look back into the history, right? A lot of once organized religion swept across. So Europe and the Americas and such. We had kings and rulers, which most of them followed Christian law, which made women, again, subservient. But the men were corrupt as fuck. Like, if you look back at some of the history, like, let's just look at Rodrigo Borgia, okay? That's Alexander VI. All right, if you want to watch a little more about the Borgia family, there is a show about it. Okay, of course, some of it's been dramatized, but most of it is bang on. Okay, and this Pope, Alexander VI, wasn't even the most corrupt one in history. He's like, on a list of a top 10, he's like 8th or 9th. Like, there was a lot worse ones. And as we see, right, the Pope is supposed to be this holy, divine creature, right? And they're celibate, quote unquote. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. Do you know why that is? If you go back to very, very early texts and very historical record, popes did have children. But see, this posed a problem for the church because then the papal see could be willed. I think that's the word I want to use. Sorry. Willed out to the children of said pope. So for the church to eliminate that and maintain control and of all the treasures and everything that go along with it, because monasteries were very, very rich places. Okay, let's not forget that. That is why the Vikings raided them a lot. Because it was, again, guarded by monks, so it was easy. And they stored all the gold and stuff there. So easy pickings. Anyways, lost my train of thought with that. Anyways, the corruptness, yeah, of the popes. So the reason why the church took the legitimacy of any papal children away, so they couldn't take the riches and things like that. So any children that any quote-unquote holy people had to remain illegitimate for that reason. But, like, they had a lot of them, okay? The popes had many, many, many concubines, okay? Many illegitimate children, like I said. And they were really, 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 really super corrupt. Again, a game of power and control. There was a whole lot of poisoning, a whole lot of murdering, a whole lot of scandal. Like, it's actually really interesting history if you look at it. And this is kind of the other thing where I really hate it. Because in these kingdoms, you know, these people of status, right? It was always the sons. Again, it was the sons. Even if a daughter was born first, it was the son who would take the throne. And the daughter was like a possession. So we'll just give her away, and that tradition carried over to a lot of different other countries and belief systems and stuff too. Dowries and stuff were paid, like putting a price on her, and also like giving her away like a possession. Okay, like think about one of the very, very famous lines from Romeo and Juliet. When Juliet says, I don't want to be engaged to Paris, okay, because that's who her father had chosen for her. He says, you be mine and I give you to my friend. And that's how it was. They pawned their daughters off to dirty old men of other kingdoms or dukedoms or whatever it was for power and control and more land grabs. And that's all it is right now. That's all it is, right? And it's still continuing to this day. Look at the United States. It has one of these narcissistic, power, greedy, misogynistic men at the helm. Dangerous for the whole rest of the world, if you ask me. But look what's happening there. Trying to claw back everybody's rights. Notice how I stumbled there? Claw back everybody's rights unless you are a rich white man. Yeah, it's disgusting. And the land grabs, and the utter disrespect. Like, you guys know I'm in Canada. So, I mean, he keeps saying stupid shit like he's gonna, the newest one is that he called our prime minister and said, yeah, how about we reshape these borders? What? Like, what? The arrogance. This is like, I'm not trying to get political here. I'm trying to make a point. But like the arrogance of that first of all, that he thinks he can, and like the audacity, right? And just the misogyny that he displays. So I'm using him as an example of what those types of narcissistic, ridiculous kings looked like. And to me, like, it makes no sense. I don't know. Maybe I have too much critical thinking. I don't know. But I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Come on. Like, if you factor in any type of science at all, like, and this is like, I don't understand how people from the beginning of the time did not realize that they were in a cult. Because organized religion is a cult. It's what it is. It's what it is. And it's been, the biggest offenders, of course, Christianity, Catholicism, have hijacked everything. Like I said, they took over everything. They tried to wipe out anything that wasn't that, right? So delete paganism, delete Wicca, delete anything that isn't this. Okay, to any other country that they went to, tried to also do the same there. All right. And that whole like land grab and invading and just hijacking. But we still continue to allow it to happen to this day. Right? Our calendar is Christian. Okay. The original calendar is 13 months. And it lines up with the moon cycles and all of that, okay? And each month has the same amount of days. And now they came in and they made it 12 months. And this month has 31 days. And this one has 30. And this month's going to have 28. But every 4 years, we're going to have a 29. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Okay, the year. Think about that one, too. The planet is billions. Okay, that's billion with a B. Okay, billions of years old. We have evidence of this. Archaeologists have found evidence of this. Like, you cannot dismiss it. And yet, what year are we in right now? 2025. And that is the Christian timing, right? Because we are in 2025 AD right now. So after death, right? So there's before death of Jesus Christ and after death. And the timing is based on that. We're not in the year 2025. No. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And it's just so frustrating. So for those of you who don't know, all right, according to organized religion, the earth and everything is about 3,000 years old. Okay, so that's why we're in the year 2025 right now. And how this, again, is almost a global term of timing that we're using now, as well as the calendar. Okay? It's all been hijacked, all of it. And also, the original calendar that did have the 13 months did also fit in with women's menstrual cycles as well. Because as women, we are in tune with the earth. And I think that is another thing that over the years has made men very jealous. This also led to a lot of women historically being left out for a lot of very important inventions or contributions that were made. But of course, the credit goes to men. And I'm not man hating here, guys. I'm telling you, this is the history. Okay. This is it. If you're triggered by what I'm saying, then maybe you have some issues around it. Men who are listening. Maybe you should address that. I'm going to get into some more really interesting examples of some of the women who have been left out of historical record by the patriarchy. But yes, and this led to the witch hunts. As I have discussed in, I think it was like episode 1, but it was only very, very short because I was just kind of testing the waters. The truth about the witch hunts and the age-old witch burnings, right? When we got into that, and a lot of that was across Europe anyway, set into motion because of the King James version of the Bible. King James was very afraid of witches. Just he was nuts himself. So he never should have been in the position that he was in. Just like someone else who I was just talking about right now in present day time. But anyways, it was his fear and his hysteria around it that led to a lot of the fear and led to a lot of these witch hunts. Okay. So, again, a lot of these quote unquote burnings were not burnings. So even though we see all the time, they talk about the witches burnt at the stake and stuff like that, that was actually really rare. Okay. Just for historical record, I'm not saying any way to die is any better than the other, because it's definitely not, but I'm just setting the record straight. Okay. The whole burnt at the stake thing was not really common. It did happen. Okay, but it was more likely that you would be hung or drown and then your body burned afterwards so you didn't spread the witch disease. And the interesting thing about the witch hunts and the burnings, also too, Salem, Massachusetts, no burnings happen there. Okay, all hangings. And the interesting thing about these things is that these weren't even quote unquote witches. All right. Most of the people a lot of them weren't even tried. Okay. It was just like, this woman is a witch. And they're like, okay, and you are, because this man here said so. Okay. And that was not uncommon, if that sounds ridiculous to you now. Because back then as well, if a man wanted to marry his maid, younger milkmaid, or, found a younger wife, he would just take his devoted, loyal wife to the king and say, this woman was adulteress. And with no evidence or proof whatsoever, they would kill her. And that would leave him free to do whatever he wanted. Disgusting, disgusting. Anyways, same stuff with the burnings. Okay, who was it? Wasn't witches. Okay, maybe some of them were in there too, but the majority, no. A lot of them is where we get that crone energy from. So like that, like depicted in like Snow White with the crickety woman hunched over her, cane or whatever. When women like that were not aesthetically pleasing to the men of status, right? And they didn't want to have to poison their eyes by having to look at an aging woman, right? She's put up as a witch. I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm serious. You can Google it. Okay. And then also, other women could get in on this too and accuse other women of witchcraft who they might have been jealous of or seen as a threat. And again, no proof was really needed. A lot of the other ones were midwives, healers, medicine women. It was just, again, to eradicate any type of woman in a position of status that would, again, maybe take from their control or their power, their meaning patriarchy. It's also important to mention that around this same time, folks, is when like Western medicine as we know it started to come into more of play. So again, more of those medicinal types of remedies and cures were discredited, or, oh, that's magic, that's black magic, because they wanted everyone dealing with the white male doctors who cost money, right? And who they could control with the pharmaceuticals that they produced. So all of that ancient knowledge, the remedies, the cures, all of that stuff that our ancestors had, they tried to wipe it out by killing the people who were trying to pass it on, who had the knowledge in the first place. So a lot of these things had to be passed down in complete secrecy for thousands and thousands of years, okay? Because of fear of persecution from different parties. And this is why it's infuriating to me when I see someone like Ryan Reynolds wrote a tweet about what was happening to his garbage wife. He referred to it as a witch hunt. Witch hunts are funny until it's your witch that's being hunted. I think it was something like that he said. First of all, it's not funny, you uneducated dick. And secondly, we're not putting someone who's cosplaying as a victim and setting the woman's movement back into the same category as actual women who lost their lives, like chased with pitchforks and people with torches, okay, and killed because they knew natural medicine or how to deliver babies. Not the same thing. That triggers the crap out of me. Sorry, but I just had to say that. I noticed that Ryan had a particular commercial in one of the beginnings of one of my podcast episodes. And I went in there and changed all the ad settings and took them off. I would rather make $0 than have him on my platform without my knowledge with commercials. Because I don't decide what commercials get played, but I do now. Just no to all of it. No to all of it. And you best believe the patriarchy loves to keep us hating each other. Just think about it. Think of what we're bombarded by all the time. And most of the big advertising people, right? White men, again. Okay? But women are constantly being told that we're not pretty enough, that we need makeup, that we don't smell good enough, we need this deodorant and this perfume and this and that, that our body's not good enough, we need this and that and this and that, change to this and that, and we need these injections and this filler, and you can't have cellulite, and you can't have this, and you can't have wrinkles, and once you basically hit perimenopause, you are useless to the male population. So just go sit over there and age quietly. No. No. But they do it to you with media as well. Look at the kind of shows that are really prevalent now. Like, I know for myself, okay, I am Gen X. Okay, I'm a younger Gen X. But just look at the stuff that was on TV when I was a teenager. Beverly Hills 90210. Now, what did that have a whole generation of us girls doing? Fighting over men like Kelly and Brenda. It really, really did. And then if you look at it now, like the reality shows, like the Real Housewives and all, like they're all such vindictive bitches. They're all so catty and evil, and it's just all about sabotage and gossip and, just tearing each other down. And this is the stuff that we're being bombarded with all the time, right? So it makes us kind of be competitive with one another, right? And always, always not be in our power with our worthiness, because there's always something that's missing. We're always not worthy enough in some way, shape, or form. We don't make enough money, or we, didn't get the laundry done today, or we left dishes in the sink. Like, women have so many responsibilities. It's sickening. It really is. Like, the Handmaid's Tale song is correct. All day, every day, therapist, mother, maid, nymph, then a virgin, nurse, then a surgeon. Yeah, we're expected to do everything, make the holidays nice and beautiful without showing how we did any of it or complaining about the work. Make the meals that way. So a woman can have the same type of job as her husband and yet come home after working the same amount of hours, if not more, and have to, on the way home, probably pick up the children from daycare that she's got to pay for because she's working, and then go home and cook dinner for everybody and clean up, and then sit with the kids and do homework and all of these things. And her time is taken from the moment she wakes up in the morning till the moment she goes to bed at night, and not much appreciation given on that subject, or even seen the 100,000 many things that she has to get done during the day, and she will feel like a failure if she doesn't. Let's just stop with the nonsense. Stop having crazy expectations of humans like they're supposed to be super people. Okay? It's ridiculous. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. And we're the worst for it, women. We hold ourselves up to these crazy expectations, that no sane person could get through in a healthy way. Right? Because even if you get your whole to-do list done, what does that leave you with? Do you have any me time for yourself during that day? Probably not. Not if you got your entire to-do list done, you didn't. So again, putting ourselves last. Our needs are last, subject to everyone else, right? We have to change the mindset around that. Start being a little more selfish. We got to take those moments in time for ourselves, because if we are inherently to be the glue that holds so many of these things together, don't you think that we need to have a little bit of recharging time for that glue to get sticky again? I think about it as one of those things that we used to get out of those gumball machines, right? Those hands, or whatever it was. and you get it out and you stick it up on the glass and it's so sticky, but as you use it, it gets like dust particles and stuff on it and it's just not sticky anymore. But you have to like clean it off, give it a refresh so it can get the sticky back, so it can hold all those things together, right? But also, women, we got to stop trying to hold all the things together, right? Spinning too many damn plates in the air, right? Have too many crazy expectations of ourselves. You really do. And then, in essence, it allows other people to have those crazy expectations of us. So, we have to take responsibility. I'm sorry. Please don't hate me for perpetuating that cycle, right? You got to put boundaries down. You have to speak up, right? You have to voice your needs. And the problem is, with a lot of women walking around right now, we have wounding, right? And sometimes that has to do with our mother, right? And this is the perpetuated cycle with this wounding, right? Our mother didn't deal with the wounding, so now it's passing on to us. So we have to just stop the cycle, and stop trying to be every single thing and then be resentful. We have to use our voices and speak up. Because that mother wound brings about, for a lot of women, that people pleasing, right? That's a trauma response to the mother wound. Because we don't want to upset anybody. We don't want to speak up. We don't want to rock the boat, right? We don't want to be difficult. That's part of that people pleasing. And that is one thing that we need to just put a stop to. Just completely. That's it. Done. Stop it. Because you're essentially setting the stage, right? So if someone is asking 1.5 million things of you and you just put a smile on your face and you stress yourself out and, almost as detriment to your physical health to try to get these things done. And then you just like go back to the person like, here you go, unless you voice how difficult that was for you and how like it made you feel and things like that, then they're just going to expect that, whatever they gave you wasn't a big deal, right? So yes, people do have to be aware of what they're putting on other people, but we also have to take the responsibility ourselves, for when we're taking on too much and we're not saying anything about it. We got to use our voices. We got to set those boundaries. Okay. Let go of that people pleasing wound. So going back to the point about how a lot of very, 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 very beautiful and intelligent, talented women, inspiring women, were left out of the history books just for patriarchal reasons. So we're going to start way back, right? Who is the greatest philosopher? Who's known as the greatest philosopher of all time? Socrates, right? But what is left out of the history books is that Socrates had a teacher. Socrates' teacher's name was Aspasia. And Aspasia was a woman. Now, if you look at some historical record, again, remembering that most of the pen holders at that time were men, there is some dispute around this, but come on. Why would he say that? Why would, just stop it. Just stop. Why would Socrates make that up? That he had a teacher that was female, could just take all the credit himself? Why would he just invent this mystical woman who taught him? He wouldn't. Again, patriarchy trying to discredit. A lot of stories, as I've gone through in this podcast before when we've talked about certain goddesses, have also been planted in there by patriarchy, again, to discredit those goddesses. We spoke of this, we talked about Freya. that story about her necklace, right? And how that came about. Then look at Lilith, which we talked about a little bit already. Lilith, framed as the mother of demons. You know, she is a scary, 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 bad, evil demon. You know, no, she's just a woman who didn't want to submit to Adam. And if you actually look back in historical record, it seems to be about sex. Adam wanted the dominant position, and Lilith said, no, I want it. And the original fight was over that, apparently. So, but there are lots of other women, like I said, that were left out of historical record. Not cool at all. And we're going to go through some of them right now because they absolutely 100% deserve to be spoken of and recognized. All right, so Hedy Lamarr. She was an Austrian-American actress. She also is very famous for this technology that she helped to co-create during the war for radios. And it actually is the building blocks technology for GPS, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth. But of course, she doesn't get any credit for that. Then we have Ada Lovelace, an English mathematician. And she was considered the first computer programmer. But we don't hear about her. Rosalind Franklin, a British chemist who helped scientists understand the structure of DNA. Henrietta Lacks, a tobacco farmer whose cancer cells, known as HeLa cells, have led to scientific discoveries. We also have Jeanette Rankin, the first woman elected to Congress. Margaret Hamilton, who helped get the first humans on the moon. And she's left out a lot. We don't hear about her when you're talking about how the first moon landing took place. Lizzie Velasquez, an American motivational speaker and author. Susan B. Anthony, activist for women's rights. Rosa Parks, leader in the civil rights movement. Okay, a lot of this is not written about, or not written about to extent. Like, it's really actually disgusting when we think about it, because all of these beautiful, wonderful women have had their creations, if you will, stolen by other people. And this is where it's really awful, because women are the creators, right? We should be in those powerful positions to make the decisions, because we can also apply some compassion to the logic, right? The womb chakra, our womb space, it's your creative energy. It's literally a portal to life. You can create life. Okay? But also the energy in that particular chakra, when applied, you can manifest or create, right? And that's how you get these inspired ideas and how people come up with inventions and things like that. It's creation. And that is one thing that is literally been gifted to women as our job. So with all this being said, I'm going to get you some messages now from your spirit team, some channeling, if you will, you know, maybe on what you need to direct your energy towards for creation, for your own fulfilling life for yourself, whatever it is that you want to create for yourself or for your family, whatever your motivation is. I just do want you to notice, though, what is trying to happen on the world stage, right? Just before a shift takes place, the other energy will try to claw back that control. That's why what we're seeing when women have had these rights and quote unquote equality, because there never ever has been, but you know, as far as we've come so far, when we have had that, you know, someone wants to come in like a narcissistic, dominating, toxic masculine energy and try to take it away from you, right? Like, look what's happening there. Women are literally losing all of their rights. It's going back to a Handmaid's Tale. Like, it's not really, but you know, they think they're in charge right now. Oh, bless their little hearts. And this is the thing, and I think this is why we are pitted against each other so much, you know, through media and whatever else. They love to keep women fighting because when women gather in sisterhood, man, we get shit done. We could knock those evil men off their pedestal and fix things so damn fast their heads would spin. Yeah, if just given the opportunity. But since no one is giving it to us and they refuse to do so, it is time for us to just take it. With that being said, I'm going to grab some cards. I was just about to start shuffling, then I thought, no, that is going to sound really aggravating when you're just listening to this with audio. So I will choose the cards intuitively. I'm going to fan them out in front of me. No, you can't see it, but you gotta trust me. I'll fan them out and pick them intuitively. So I know for my neurodivergent people out there, I try to get rid of as many background noises as possible because I know it's torturous. I know there was one episode that I was listening back to once and I had to turn it off because I realized I have a bad habit when I'm drinking iced coffee. I always like shake my cup and the ice just goes clinking, clinking, clinking. And I didn't think about it. And I did it so many times in that one episode. So I couldn't even listen to it. It was driving me crazy. So I'm sorry for anyone else that it really, really annoyed. All right. So what I'm pulling from right now, I realized I forgot to tell you, is the Earth Magic Oracles. And this deck is by Stephen D. Farmer, in case you're interested. So I pulled 4 cards here, and we got Music, Harmony, the Cave, Sanctuary, the Waterfall, Effortless, and Generations, Ancestors. So what I'm getting here is with the music, right? Pulling ourselves kind of back into harmony. Now, my phone is at 66% battery as I say this. That's not a bad number, okay? Religious conditioning. If you got triggered by that. That is actually the number of harmony. All right. So you're going to find a lot of harmony and calming for your nervous system through music and frequency. So that was something else that I was going to mention earlier, and I forgot. But you know, we're kept in a state where our cortisol is always very high, right? In that like fight or flight or freeze, constantly worried, constantly anxious, go, go, go. This is when we're not taking time for ourselves. We're not taking time for grounding, right? Then you're producing a lot of cortisol in your body. And when your cortisol is really high, it's hard to relax. You're not grounded at all. You're more anxious. You lose more hair than usual. I know, especially, you know, ladies with long hair in the shower, like pulling out handfuls, right? But that will be more significant. You'll notice it. Also, cortisol sits right in your belly. So it makes that belly fat nearly impossible to get rid of. So if you are struggling to lose weight, especially around your middle, and especially if you are perimenopausal or menopausal, okay, you are going to want to work on regulating your cortisol levels, okay? And you can do that through music and frequency, right? Because music automatically gives you like that hit of dopamine. We can take ourselves to a very dark place with it or a very happy place with it, depending on which playlist we choose. right? So using it for the power of harmony and for your benefit when needed, right? I'm not saying you have to get rid of your death metal. Okay? If you like that, that's fine. But just, moderation with things, right? You don't want to stay in that energy too long. Just like if, you're having a good day and then all of a sudden your playlist switches to like your breakup playlist or something like that, right? And you have these sad songs and automatically your mood, you're right back there. You're longing and tearful. But that's just the power of music. But we just have to be aware of where it's taking us, right? Especially when we might already be in a bit of a down. So bring yourself back up, okay? Meditative Mind on YouTube is a wonderful, wonderful channel for frequencies, okay? For each of your chakras, also for clearing negative energy out of a room, or bringing your own frequency up, bringing that dopamine up so you're in a better mood. Basically anything, you just type it in and they have a frequency for that, and you just put it on in the background too. You just put it on like it's not even there. Okay, you can also put that on as a very powerful healing tool while you're sleeping. Okay, they have a lot of sleep meditations on there too that are like 9-10 hours long. Okay, so just put it on, let her go. So getting back into that harmony, but also being in that harmony with the earth also. Okay, grounding. 396. Okay, I think that's the root chakra frequency. I want you guys to listen to a bit of 396 hertz today. Okay, that's going to give you a little bit of grounding, I feel. Okay, so that is, really, really getting back into the vibration of the earth, the harmony, the alignment with the earth. Okay, and the earth's actual frequency. The earth has a frequency. I'm not sure if it's 396. It might have been. That's why I might have just said that. It could be different, but you could just type that in too. Sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head. So we have the cave next, the sanctuary. So again, taking time for yourself, taking time to let yourself just be at peace for a moment, to relax, okay, to tap in, being in a meditative state. Everyone is inherently psychic, right? Women have a very powerful intuition. It's like a muscle. You have to work it out. What's the best way to work it out? Meditation. Now, it's not easy for all of us to just sit there and meditate. Like, I'm neurodivergent myself, guys. I have ADHD and I'm on the spectrum. So I can't just sit there and be like, oh, no, it doesn't work for me. My mind's going a million different places all at once. But I find other ways, like walking in nature. That puts me in a very meditative state. A frequency, of course. When I'm driving, I'm usually somewhat meditative if I'm not listening to music at the time. So find these moments to just quiet yourself so you can hear some messages that are trying to come through for you. Because we have the ancestors card here. Generations. We have this, and it looks like on here, it looks like DNA. So I wish I could show you this card. So we have this snake going up through the DNA, and that represents that awakening of that Kundalini energy. And Kundalini energy is your spiritual life force energy that goes through your energy centers, through your body, chakras. Okay, we have 7 energy centers. So I see that moving up there. So a lot of you are going through awakening right now, Kundalini awakening. Okay, getting messages, passed down gifts as well, activating from your ancestors. The sanctuary card, going back to that, I wish I could show you the illustration on this because it is someone putting illustrations into a cave, like they're drawing with charcoal or something. So again, your ancestors trying to get messages to you. Right? And way back then, like they couldn't just pick up a piece of paper and write something down. That's what they did. They had images and pictures and that communicating. So that's how spirit usually communicates, through numbers in succession, through music also. So be looking through for musical messages as well, since that card came out. Okay, all these little synchronicities is how spirit speaks to you. Okay, and they're trying to get messages to you. So slow down and let yourself hear them. Okay, and let yourself be activated too, because like I was picking up on there, I really think that some of your ancestral gifts are starting to come online, if you will. Because we don't just get the generational trauma, right? It's not just the bad stuff that gets passed down. We get the good stuff too. All their gifts, all their knowledge, all their wisdom, we just have to open ourselves up to it. Just let it flow, like the waterfall card here too. Let things be effortless. Okay, you cannot push water back up a waterfall. You can't, no matter how hard you try. Right? So don't try to force against the current, guys. Go with the flow. All right, 1:55 as I'm saying this. Okay, in the afternoon. So 5-5, number succession, like I just spoke of. Change. Okay, that's changes coming. Let things flow. Okay, don't force up against the current. And just think of that visual, like I said, in your head. Okay, you can't put water back up a waterfall. It doesn't go that way. Okay, so don't try to force the energy and work against it. It's just going to slow you down. So with that, I'm going to grab a couple cards now from the Believe in Your Own Magic deck. Okay, and this one is by Amanda Lovelace, and we were just talking about another very famous Lovelace, so another synchronicity that some of these messages may be important to you. Take what resonates for you and leave what doesn't. So with the first card we have here is very lovely. It is a woman standing in front of a very lovely open front door, and it looks very Snow White like out the door. There's a lovely little bird coming in to say hello, and just magical forest energy. The woman standing there with tea, just kind of relaxing and being in her own energy. So what I was just talking about, allowing yourself those moments, even if it's only 10 or 15 minutes, you have to take those timeout moments for yourself, for your own mental health, right? Your spiritual health too. Yeah. As I'm looking at the book here, Spirit again is just reinforcing what I've been saying. It's time to press pause before you move on the next leg of your journey. Solitary introspective moments. Okay, have a quiet, cozy, maybe night at home. Enjoy your own company. Like I said, get some messages from Spirit. Just take those moments to slow down. So allow yourself to just slow down. And breathe too. Like a lot of us are so busy and so fast-paced all the time that really, when we think about it, we're breathing very shallowly, right? We're not really taking in a lot of deep breaths and taking a moment to do that because we're all just in such a rush all the time. Plus, we're all experiencing collective trauma, that happens right in front of our eyes, that we see on the news in front of us like every day, and we're supposed to just go on like none of that is happening. But it is an experience, and that also brings up your cortisol levels as well and keeps you in a state of fight or flight or freeze or fawn. There's another one that's not coming to the top of my head right now, but the states of your nervous system. Okay, so very important to really try to balance your nervous system. Now, again, I wish I could show you these cards. Out of the 5 I have in front of me, there are 4 that are some ladies that are more plus sized. Okay, so there's one here with one of these beautiful women looking at herself in the mirror. So again, we spoke about this earlier with all the stuff we're bombarded with that makes us think we're not good enough, right? We're not skinny enough. We don't smell good enough. We're not pretty enough. We're not this enough. We're not that enough. We have to start letting some of this go and stop comparing ourselves also to what we see in the media, because none of that is real. It's all completely touched up. Most of it now is AI, so you can't, like, this is one thing that drives me crazy about the Kardashians. I fucking hate them. But they're just the most shallow, ugly, awful souls. Making all these women compare themselves to them. And it's impossible because they have all had so much surgery and so many enhancements, even if they deny it. But that they're Barbies that are put together with plastic from their surgeons. Okay? That's not something you can aspire to with diet and exercise. And this is the crap that I hate. It's pushed on young girls. And they think that those types of things are the beauty standard when it's not even something that you can attain or should in a healthy way. All right? So what Spirit is saying here is be good with you in a healthy way. I mentioned the 55. This card is about making changes, right? So a big life change is coming. You may not have been expecting it, okay? It's not a bad thing. It's going to be a good thing. Trust your instincts and take a leap of faith, okay? Trust my darlings, all right? And the picture here also is she's got a sword and she's like cutting her hair. So it says here, whether you're thinking about cutting your hair, finding a new job, doing something that'll help you with your confidence, go ahead and do it. Now, also, what I'm getting with this too is the hair is like an antenna, right? It holds a bunch of stuff. That is why in Native American traditions, often they have very, very long braided hair, right? The men as well, okay? They're spiritual transmitters. It's not cool to cut that, okay? But also, because stuff gets held in there, in other traditions, it is a good idea, to trim that off, okay? So maybe getting a little trim might be a good thing for you, okay? Helping release and remove some of that as well, okay? Speaking of changes, we have the flower card coming through. It's number 17. They're pulling me to that. That number could be significant. Okay. Beautiful woman with yellow flowers in her hair and a yellow dress. So yellow representing solar plexus chakra, right at our gut space. Okay. That's where our confidence sits. All right. Our self-worth, our ego also. Okay. Guilt also sits there too. There's something that you know to be true, but you might be continuing to ignore it. Lying to yourself may feel like the easiest thing to do right now, but things have changed, and it's time for you to face that reality, even if it makes you uncomfortable. No matter the outcome, it won't nearly be as bad as you think. So, like I said, there's a change coming, and I think it's a good one, okay? So it might appear scary at first, but you got to take that leap and just trust, okay? But I think like there's something here that you're holding, because the picture of the woman in this card, she has her hand over her mouth, right? So there's a truth there you might not be speaking, okay? Or maybe afraid to speak, okay? Again, maybe because of that people-pleasing wound that we were discussing, because we have Clover here. And this is about releasing guilt. And it says here that you've been carrying the burden of guilt on your shoulders for far too long. It's now negatively impacting all facets of your life and maybe making it impossible for you to function. So you've come to a crossroads where you need to choose a direction. Go ahead and make your reparations. Release yourself from the cage that you've built around yourself. So, the carrying a burden of guilt on your shoulders. Yeah. This could even be causing physical pain in your body. This is something that I've experienced recently myself. So I've had some pain in my right shoulder and spasms in my back and my neck. So the right side is masculine side. And we have both energies within us, masculine and feminine, no matter what gender you identify as, okay? The masculine energy is your lower chakras, okay? It's action, protection, go, right? Feminine energy, upper chakras, your heart space, the compassion, okay, your intuition. All right. And I have felt that there's been heavy energy, okay, here, and some in the masculine side. All right. So some of you also may be experiencing pain on your right side, okay, that's unexplained by science, right? And I was going through this for a bit. It was to the point where I was having a hard time sitting because my back would just start to spasm. It was making it hard for me to literally do anything, right? Until I kind of faced what it was that was telling me I was carrying too much weight of other people's shit on my shoulders. Expectations, all that. My own as well. You know, with what we were talking about how women always put extra expectations on ourselves. Carrying energies that don't belong to you, okay, can be causing physical ailments in your body. Women who have a lot of trauma, there's also a big correlation with autoimmune disorders, okay? Body inflammation. So you might want to take that into account as well. So release yourself from any guilt you're feeling, okay? This could also be, too, guilt about moving on with your life. You know, we outgrow people, places, situations, things. You might be thinking of changing a job. Okay, because you've just outgrown it. It's nothing against the job, nothing against the boss, nothing against the coworkers, just time to move on. You know, if they take it personally, that's their issue, right? But again, sometimes we might stay in these situations because we're people pleasing still, right? We have to put ourselves first, okay? We have the map here. That's the final card here, the voyage. You already have all the answers. So Spirit is showing you the map. When you sit down and quiet your mind and intuitively listen, okay, they're giving you the map of where to go next. And stop fighting against the waterfall, right? When you let it flow, that's when all things start to flow. You could be holding up your abundance right now, you know, and not even realizing you're doing it, you know? Working against yourself. And as soon as you stop doing that, the floodgates will open to a bunch of amazing things. So take this time that we're currently where I live. Anyway, we're in winter, right? That season. And Spirit was telling you to slow down for a minute. So just take that winter energy and just slow down and contemplate and reflect, heal, right? In the winter, in some areas, covered in a blanket of snow, right? Purity, the white, the blanket, healing. Okay? And in just a couple more weeks, the snow will be melted and things will be blooming from the ground again. And I think that'll be go time for you again too. So, before you get really super busy, take this time right now to be, again, tapped into the earth energy, into Mama Gaia, and move like the seasons, flow like the seasons. Take that time to rest, contemplate, get your energy back now, because you're going to be moving as fast as a bunny pretty soon. Okay? All right, guys, I really, really hope you enjoyed this today. If you would like to get a personal reading or healing service with me, I will leave everything that you need to know to reach me below in the description box. You don't have to be here in my presence to get a reading with me. I do them online. I can connect with your energy that way. I don't need any more information than just your name. That way, when I tell you things that I couldn't possibly know, it's that much more validating for you. So take care until next time, guys. All right, get some rest. Wishing you all so much magic. Okay? Stay magical, my friends. Bye.